Okay. All right. Looks like we're ready to go. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, members of council and members of our staff. There are some members in the audience as well. And I'd like to welcome you all to the regular council meeting of Monday, July the 10th, 2023. I hope you're having a wonderful summer so far. We do have some of our staff also joining us online tonight. So if we need them, we can call to them. And I'd also like to point out that our clerk is away. So our deputy clerk, Krista, is joining us here at the table. So welcome, Krista, to the council table here. I know you're in our chambers sometimes, but welcome to the table. All right, members of council, we'll begin our meeting this evening by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Tiatsarani, the Wendat, and is the home of many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people as part of an intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships, and ask the Creator for guidance in all that we do. And of course, the land acknowledgement is spoken by myself as the mayor, and it's my honor and privilege to do that voluntarily. Council, on our agenda closed session, we did not have a closed session today, and item 2 is our approval of agenda. So be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated July 10, 2023 as presented. Mr. Broderick, Mr. MacArthur, any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That carries. Council, over to item 3, which is disclosure, pecuniary interest, and general nature thereof. Anybody got any disclosures in regard to the content of the meeting tonight? Seeing none, if anything comes up, please bring it forward. We'll deal with it right away. Okay, council, we're going to go to public participation period. I'll read the text. Public participation period. Be advised that the comments and views expressed under public participation period are not the views of the Township of Clearview Council or administration. Public participation is limited to 15 minutes. Each person is limited to 5 minutes. Questions and comments are to be directed to the mayor. Questions shall not refer to personnel matters, litigation or potential litigation, or planning matters that have already had a public meeting for any item considered confidential. And as always, please remember to share the time with your fellow citizens. Madam Clerk, just before we start, I want to confirm that we did not receive any electronic participations today. That's correct. All right. Thank you. We have 2 gentlemen in the audience. You want to come forward? Thank you. Nice to see you, Bob.
Thank you. Your worship.
Welcome.
I think it's members of council, staff. On June the 27th of 22, in response to a report COU 04-2022 from Councillor Leishman, council approved a resolution to direct staff to bring back a report to discuss a new affordable housing committee as a council committee before the end of March 2023. Unfortunately, neither the mover nor the seconder of that motion are part of the current council, so it's not hard to imagine why that report has perhaps slipped by. On June the 5th, 2023, council approved a resolution that staff directed to review.
Excuse me, Mr. Charlton, could you just move that microphone a little closer to you? The other one. It's the other one that's working.
Okay.
Try that. Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. I'm sure other people are too.
Okay.
Thank you.
On June the 5th, 23, council approved a resolution. The staff be directed to review the report and report back to council on the feasibility of establishing an affordable housing committee. This time, no deadline was established for staff. In view of the increasing urgency and the need for affordable housing in the township, I wonder if council would provide staff with a delivery date for this work so that we could ensure that it continues to move forward in a timely manner.
Let me help you out, Bob. The question is, when is the Affordable Housing Committee going to be formed by the Township of Clearview? It is on the agenda for the 24th of July meeting, which is the very next meeting coming up.
Okay, that's great.
That's the answer. I spoke to the clerk about it, and when I reviewed this agenda, I asked her about that very point. I said, when is that coming? And she said, well, it's actually ready, but it's on the 24th because they have some other details we're waiting for to fulfill the report. So that's what she said to me.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. Thank you very much.
Good to hear. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Bob. Nice to see you today. Another participation. Thank you. David, nice to see you.
I don't know if you will be.
Well, it always is nice to see you.
Okay. A well-known, longtime local volunteer said he is in charge of watering flowers at the cemetery. But this past week, being July 3rd, there was no water and no hydro working.
Yep.
So he came to the town hall to ask staff if guys who water the flowers downtown could go up to the cemetery. Said staff at the town hall asked, "Where is the cemetery?" So he said,
I don't believe that, but anyway.
Turns out that the two guys on the water wagon can't do the cemetery, not in their job description. Care to comment on that?
I imagine so. I've not seen your job description, so I can't confirm that that is in fact the case, but I would not be surprised.
Okay. When was the 3-on-3 tournament? In April?
I believe so.
Why are the banners still up on the streetlights by the arena? Are they for next year?
That's a good question. Thank you for bringing it up. I really don't have an answer for you on that.
Am I
I
left?
did notice them myself, by the way, and I asked my CAO about it briefly, but he didn't have an answer either because he hadn't been speaking to the recreation department. So don't
Okay.
know. I agree with you though. They should probably be removed.
Can I talk on the Walker settlement or not?
You can only speak about the things that were released in the statement.
Okay, I'm just, Creemore Echo statement was kind of vague. Will we know the full amount since
Is that something new?
what, being vague?
Just asking.
It just, they really didn't throw any solid figure out in the paper on Friday. Will we know the full amount since the inception of this folly that the taxpayers are on the hook for? And will there be an actual end date announced that we see the final figure?
As I understand it, when the agreement comes back from Walker's fully executed, council has directed that the executed document will be published on our website. So that's the document as far as the actual new agreement. As far as the finances have been well reported ongoing, and I expect that our treasury will be called upon to prepare a statement about the expenses that have been incurred by this township, as well as through the grant that was provided to us by Walker's as part of the original agreement. And I imagine that there will be a full accounting. I don't believe it's been asked for at this time, but I can assure you that you and other citizens and myself as the mayor, I'm very interested in that as well.
Well, the thing is, I'm hearing rumors of 7 to 8 figures as
No.
a settlement.
That would be outrageous, and it would be a rumor.
Sometimes the rumors are true, so I'll stick with that. Okay, next one. As the owners of the Kinsman Gazebo in Centennial Park, it violates the Ontario Building Code for railings. Typically in Ontario, any platform that is more than 23 3/4 inches off the ground requires some sort of guardrail. For the north side of this platform, it exceeds that by 4 feet plus. Any plan to make
Just
that
looking,
safe?
I don't believe our billing official is online on this meeting. Is that right? I would look to Amy just to take that information and she could report back to council or to you if you wish. You could write her an email and ask her that if you wish.
Okay,
All right.
one more, and then I'm done.
All right.
Apparently, in the name of tourism, Clearview Council approved the request for a floating dock for $46,000 for the eco park because tourism. Yet sadly, if you amble along the rail trail along Brock Street, a 1.1 million beautification project, you encounter pedestrian bridges of questionable construction, rows of dogwood, ornamental roses and other flora overgrown and overwhelmed with noxious weeds, along with 3 years and counting or dying trees recently planted along both the new path and Main Street. After getting my second property tax statement, I wonder who approves these mad projects without proactive post-maintenance. Both colossal wastes of money for the sake of tourism, in my opinion.
It's a good opinion. Thank you for sharing it.
So will there be any follow-up to actually trying to clear up what I just talked about?
I know your bridges that you've brought up at several times before, Mr. Witzka, are the topic of discussion, and I know that they have been inspected. I know that I expect a report on it soon. I'm not exactly sure who's handling it, whether it's Recreation or Public Works, but somebody is handling it. And I know it'll be going to Burnsides as far as the structure issue there that you brought up. That blue bridge, the second one to the east or west, I'm sorry, is the one that is probably the questionable one. Certainly that bridge needs some attention, and I believe it's in the plan to have that done. As far as the structure being built at Eco Park, if you followed along with this council, which I know you do because you're quite attentive to what we do here at this council, you will have noted that during the budget discussions, it was a back on again, off again, on again, off again discussion. There was some voices at this table were questioning why we were doing it. There were voices that were saying we should do it. And it ended up being a decision that was included in the budget. And then it came in as a sole source for the
budget. Was it for this year? I didn't see it.
It's in the budget for this year. Absolutely.
The only things I saw for the Eco Park this year were $50,000 for blind improvements,
Yeah,
$10,000 for bird rehab, and $10,000 for a gazebo fundraising, whatever. That's all I saw. So if you can tell me what page
Dave,
the doc thing was on.
Stand by for just a second here. Our treasurer is online. If I may, I'd like to ask Kelly if she could jump in and advise where that situation is. I'm sure that was discussed here at this council during budget deliberations. And I would imagine that Kelly can confirm for you and for council that it is something that was discussed in the budget and is part of the budget for 2023. Kelly.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I can confirm it is part of the budget. If Mr. Wiska would like to send me a quick email, I can reply to him with the budget page. I don't have it in front of me, I'm afraid.
No problem. I appreciate you don't, but it definitely is in the budget, Dave.
Well, I think I would have brought it up when we had that public meeting back in March.
Sure. Yeah. Well, again, like I said, there were some dissenting opinions on it, and whether it was going to go or not, it was one of those questionable items. Let's just say it went and democracies prevail, and the vote to put it in actually prevailed unanimous. So there you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's always good to see you. I don't think there's anybody else from members of the public who would like to participate in public participation period, but we'll close it at this time and remind people that they can, of course, send in electronic messages if they wish through the portal at clearview.ca. Okay, members of council, moving on. Item 5 is our deputations and presentations, and we have none. And item 6 is our public meeting section, and we have none. So we're going to go to 7, which is approval of the council minutes. We do have 3. So I'll read the recommendation and I'll look for a mover and seconder. Recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approves the minutes of the June 26, 2023 special meeting, the June 26, 2023 regular meeting, and the June 28, 2023 planning public meeting as presented. And so I'll look for a mover and seconder. Deneen and Walker, thank you. Any questions on those 3? Was there any? No, seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you. Business arising from the minutes. Anybody got any questions? Nope. Okay. Communications from the mayor. There's no closed session report. I do have one item here. If the NVCA stewardship manager Fred Dobbs received a distinguished award from the Natural Channels Initiative. I read this over. The guy's worked in the business for 37 years. So I think he knows what he's talking about. Robert, you know him. You worked with him briefly, didn't you? Yeah.
Yes, Your Worship. Very knowledgeable gentleman and very, very pleasant gentleman. And anybody that works with Fred knows Fred's ability to do what he's done. And I'm glad to see him get that award. He's a very great asset to NVCA and to Clearview, or to Simcoe and Clearview.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you. Yeah. He's quite an asset. He's been there that long for sure. All right. I have nothing else that came in over as far as communications, meaning little messages that get sent to us from other organizations. So we'll move on to our county reports. There were 3 other items that came out on county that we wanted to talk about. This one is very interesting. And for Mr. Charlton in the audience, I hope you had a chance to read the 10-year affordable housing and homelessness prevention strategy from the county. That was released. Some good news in that, and some focus on strategies that the county has available to them to exercise some changes to assist with affordable housing and homelessness prevention. So that was a really good report. By the way, council, for your benefit, I forwarded on to the young lady who presented to us from the United Church what's her name? Is it Lynn or Julie? I'm just skip my name right now. I can't remember. I'm embarrassed about that. She's a fine minister right over here at the United Church. Nevertheless, I forwarded it over to her and gave her a quick note to have a look at this. So it was a good piece of information. There's a release regarding building up the county heritage and culture at the Simcoe County Museum. This is a significant thing for our whole region of Simcoe County. $18 million is going to be invested into a beautiful new and very active facility that will, help preserve our history and culture of Simcoe County. $18 million. A large portion of that came from a grant, or it was bequeathed to them from from someone's wishes. When they passed away, they gave a great amount of money towards the museum. So that's a really significant item there. So hope to see that happen. And the other item is the celebrating the 10th anniversary of the installation of trail hubs. Those trail hubs are basically bicycle repair stations. I don't know if you've ever seen them. We have one in Clearview. It's right over at the information office that was installed. And people who use their bicycles on the trail, if they have mechanical failures, which inevitably happens, there's a lot of tools and so on available right there. And there's 10 of them all across, 10 of them. There's one in every single community, 17 of them in different places, as well as private companies that put them in too. There's one in Creemore at the Creemore Brewery down there too. So anyway, that's kind of a nice thing. Any questions? All right, council reports. We get to start with council reports. This time we'll go to Mr. Walker. How are you, Bob?
Thank you, Your Worship. Not a whole lot. June 28th, we had our planning meeting. On the 29th, I was able to attend the SCI graduation, in which Your Worship was on stage and brought greetings on behalf of Clearview Township to see my two grandsons, Dakota and Emmett, graduate from Stainer Collegiate. On July 1st, watched the Canada Day Parade, which again, to all those involved in organization, thank you. Job well done. Great little parade. And then on July 4th, we had our special council meeting, and that's been it, Your Worship.
Very good. Thank you, Bob. It was good to see you there. It was a warm facility, the Stainer Arena or Stainer Collegiate Auditorium. That was a pretty warm house. Marty, how you doing?
Good, thank you, Your Worship. The New Lowell Minor Baseball Association donated this sweater to me. They wanted me to mention them in the award report, so I'm going to do just that. They wanted to show the immense support that they have for minor baseball. They have new sponsors, All Ontario Recycling, Weld Experts, Steer Enterprises, Stevens Trucking, Glencairn, Clearview Auto Center, and the New Lowell Legion. They also received donations from the Stainer Kinsman, Stainer Lions Club, Maiden's Family Auto Care, and Trot's Sports Excellence. So it shows a lot of support for minor baseball. They're doing well, and they're very appreciative of their the support. I attended and spoke on behalf of Clearview at Our Lady of the Bay graduation. I attended Canada Day Parade and the celebration in Creemore. And also the Simcoe County Federation of Agriculture barbecue in Allison, which was very good. And I'd like to say that New Lowell has one of these bicycle repair hubs in New Lowell. So thank you.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Thank you very much for attending the agricultural event. I was unable to attend, so thank you for being there, along with Councillor MacArthur and Councillor Deneen. I believe you were there too. Yes. Go ahead, Councillor Deneen. You're up next.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too braved the storm on Thursday and went to prettier weather. We had much nicer weather over in Alliston. And thanks to the Beatty Potato Farms and Distillery, it was really interesting. FS Partners, their elevators in Beaton, and the Ontario Potato Distributors in Alliston. It was really, really a good day. Special council meeting on Monday, and the rest of the week I've been playing tourist with company from Oakville and Oshawa that just loved looking around our territory.
Great.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you.
It's fun to play tourists right here in your own hometown. I like that. That's great. How you doing, Ron?
Very well, thanks, Your Worship. It's summertime, you can tell, because time flies, and seems like we were just here 2 or 3 days ago. So, yeah, busy couple of weeks. Participated in the Canada Day Parade here in Stainer. I was happy to do that. Heard there's a great parade in Creemore, which You
Yep.
did your worship, a lot of good pictures, looked like a good event, but I was a little tied up. Entertainment in Creemore, we've started our Sundays in the park with Jeremy Albino, and Baytown Big Band was there this past Sunday. So great venue, of course, and fair good crowds out to see that. So I'm glad to see that. Saturday, the Creemore Coyotes had a fundraiser in New Lowell, which I attended, to a great crowd, and they've now joined the Ontario Hockey League instead of whatever league they were associated with for. So this is a positive step forward for them. And as Marty and Phyllis said, went to the barbecue in Alliston on Thursday to see all the agricultural folks, and it was a great afternoon. Thank you.
That's great. Well, again, good job with the Coyotes. We'll look forward to seeing them have a successful season again. Mr. Broderick.
Thank you, Your Worship. June 28th, attended the planning public meeting. July 4th, the special council meeting. July 1st, participated in the Clearview Canada Day Parade in Stainer. Actually, it was pretty well attended. It was a lot of fun.
It was. Yeah.
Also that evening, attended the festivities in Creemore, including the fireworks, which were very well done. And that's it for me.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. I'll just give you a quick update. Thank you, Robert, for mentioning the grads. My day that day started actually with the Collingwood Collegiate Institute commencement ceremony, which interestingly enough was held in the town of Blue Mountains in Grey County. It was at Blue Mountain Resorts. But they used the big conference center. Place was completely packed, but it was fully air conditioned and very comfortable. So it was absolutely worth it. I was very pleased for all the grads and all the families to be there. That was a very good ceremony. It was really great to be there, as I'm a graduate of CCI myself. So it was kind of nice to be there. And then joining you and your family, as well as the people around Stainer area for the Stainer Collegiate, that was terrific. I was happy to do that. And I must mention that part of my comments, where I brought greetings on behalf of the township, I also recognize volunteers and how volunteerism is very important. And I asked those students that were leaving to remember that people help them as volunteers to get to where they are. And that when they go out of their communities, wherever community they join, or whether it's this community, that they should consider the fact that they should join to help their own community too, join other organizations and service clubs and so on. So council, it was my pleasure to point out that Robert was in the audience and he got a big round of applause for being over 30 years with the Lions Club. So it was kind of nice that the students recognized you, Bob. Thank you. The parade, let me say, the Canada Day parade, both in Stainer and in Creemore, the Stainer one was tremendous. I was so impressed when we rounded the corner by the fountain that the streets were full of people all the way down the main street. I was quite impressed. It was really great. The Ben Gorham Highlanders looked and sounded terrific. They were in full red and white, which you don't often see them that way. So the Ben Gorhams looked really good, and many, many floats and good times. And Manfred was driving his old truck, and I tell you, and the Lowe's had the big tractor trailers all painted up with Canada. It was just terrific. Great bunch of pictures, really good time. People really enjoyed themselves and celebrated Canada. I thought it was a really well done event. And from all reports from the OPP, when I talked to them after, they were quite pleased at how the route had changed a little bit and still allowed some traffic to get through. So we didn't have gridlock in Stainer, which we were actually anticipating, given that the 27, 28 side road is still under construction. So was really pleased with that. Then down to Creemore. The bicycle parade was just a joy to watch. The young people had their bicycles all decorated for Canada Day. I don't know, there was a whole bunch of prizes given out, but let me just say they were all terrific. And it was great to see that and to see people really celebrating Canada Day. And later on that evening, I was able to bring the land acknowledgement to the ceremonies just before the fireworks show. And then I enjoyed the fireworks presentation that was put on. One more thing about the fireworks. I've always said this about Creemore. When the fireworks are let off in Creemore, it's pretty spectacular because it's a valley, as we all know, and the echoing of the concussions is very impressive. So you'll hear it and then you'll see the big explosion happen. But then if you listen carefully, you'll hear it in the distance again. It's kind of neat. It's a neat effect down there. You don't get that and other fireworks shows. So it's worth going to. Council, last week I had to go to a very kind of interesting event. I went to greet a whole group of doctors and medical students who are part of the Rural Ontario Medical Program, the ROMP program that's part of Collingwood General Marine Hospital. A whole group of students have moved to this area. They're doing their training here. There's a couple that are, extending their internships. And so the opportunity there to meet some new doctors who are very keen to move to this area was quite good. I was there with Mayor Hamlin and Mayor Matrosov. I was also there with MPP Dowdle and MPP Brian Saunderson and MPP Rick, oh jeepers, what's his name now? I just forgotten it, from Grey Highlands area. He was there. So it was great to see the politicians there, but it was really great to see talking to the individual doctors, these young people who are making their step into the medical world, how they just love our area. And it was just really good to see and real positive, coming from them that they want to come up here. So let's hope that we can, one, find them some housing, and two, we can help alleviate some of the over stresses of all the other doctors that are already here with, too many patients that you can't get an appointment. So there's certainly a need for it. Council, the last thing I want to mention is this Friday is the Walker's Industries Community Quarry barbecue that's happening up at the quarry. I don't know the full details on it, but if you don't, or if you haven't received your invitation, to let me know and I'll communicate with them. They did indicate that they hope that members of council were able to attend. So we'll see you all up at the quarry for the barbecue. Sometimes they have a little blast that day too. Sometimes they load us on the bus and go and have a look at the rocks, and just so you know. All right, council, that's finish my report. I'm going to move on to item number 12 is our department reports and bylaws. So we've got a couple here. Finance department has a report. I'll move it and then we'll look for a quick comment from Kelly. I think Kelly's there. She is. Hi, Kelly. Okay, it's FIN 009-2023. Be it resolved that report FIN 009-2023, the 2021 financial indicator review dated July the 10th, 2023, be received. Mover and seconder, Mr. Beelan, seconded by Mr. Walker. Thank you very much. So the FIRs are very important, and Kelly and her team have been working on that along with our auditors. So Kelly, maybe you can just give us a quick update.
Thank you, Your Worship. The report itself is pretty straightforward. I want to give a shout out to our tax collector, Pam Childs. This is the first year in well over 10 years that our tax receivable accounts have been in the low category, which is fantastic. We've got our audited financial statements coming to council for July 24th, finally. And if council has any questions, I'm available.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. Members of council, any questions to staff on this? All right. Thank you to Kelly and your staff for putting this together. Council, you've got a mover and seconder on the motion. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? Passes unanimous. Thank you. The Building and Planning Department have got a consultant planning services report. Be it resolved that report PB 059-2023 regarding consultant planning services dated July 10, 2023 be received, and that MHBC be appointed as the township consultant planning firm for a period of 5 years. Okay, mover and seconder. Deneen and Broderick, thank you. Amy, do you have anything you want to add before I go to questions?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have nothing to add. We are looking to improve and refine our services that we're providing to the development community from the planning department itself, as well as the development team. And so we're looking for an experienced and capable firm to help us in that initiative. So I am happy to answer any questions you have.
All right. Members of council, do you have any questions to Amy? No? Nothing? Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Robert. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is this, I think in the report it says sole sourcing. So I'm just wondering, in the beginning stages of this development, did we look at different firms and try and whittle them down, or was costing factors brought into the program at all in deciding to hire this firm?
Go right ahead, Amy.
Thank you, and through you, your worship. The procurement bylaw from 2017 does allow us to sole source for planning consultants. So we did opt to go with that avenue. We're certainly in council's hands if they wish to see us go through a more competitive process. As far as the budgetary component, we will be using the budget allocated to us through the budget process for planning consultants. And MHBC has provided a competitive rate for their services that is on par with the other types of expert consultants that we use from a day-to-day basis.
Anything else, Robert?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see in the future that we would do a bit of a approval program or reach out to multiple, like a contracting of services, the same as we do any other tenders.
Fair enough. That's good discussion. I'd recommend that you'd bring it up at the budget time to have that discussion to assist staff when they're making these type of considerations, given that we already have a procurement bylaw that allows them through the CAO to activate certain purchases like this. So, all right. All right. Thank you very much. Is there other members? No, seeing none. I've got a quick question for Amy. Amy, bringing this services online, will this improve our workload on the official plan review? We'll be able to expedite that if we're maybe get some extra help here. Is that kind of what this is doing?
Thank you, Your Worship. That is a great question. So we will continue to work with GSP on the official plan review process. GSP was retained through a competitive process. So it is our hope that MHBC will help us, again, achieve those efficiencies we're looking for and to help sort of streamline our approvals process. And that will certainly allow us to direct our attention to the official plan review fully. We do have some public engagement sessions that we're planning for later in the summer that we're really looking forward to. So hoping that we'll get those dates pinned down with GSP. And then we can work with MHBC on other matters that we can use them for as well. So.
All right. Good idea. All right, members of council, if there's nothing further. Thank you, Amy. You've got a mover and seconder, so I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries you. Thank you. All right, one more to go here underneath the reports. Legislative services. This is the Stainer Union Cemetery expansion proposal. I'll read this and then we'll look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby 1, receive report LS 019-2023, the Stainer Union Cemetery expansion, and item 2, authorize staff to submit an application to the Bereavement Authority of Ontario, the BAO, and seeking approval to borrow from the capital portion of the Care and Maintenance Fund in order to complete the necessary works as outlined in this report to create the West Range expansion of the Stainer Union Cemetery. Can I have a mover and seconder? Mr. Walker, seconded by Mr. MacArthur. Thank you. All right. This report was put together by Krista, so it's handy that you're right here at front. So tell us a little bit about this, if you would.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as my report states, the Stainer Union Cemetery is nearing its capacity. There are currently 5 full plots remaining. And in order to do the necessary work, we're hoping to have the funds approved through the BAO so that we don't have to go to council and seek it from another spot.
Okay. Thank you very much. Members of council, do you have any questions to Krista on this item? Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just when we've got here buildings, and I know it's preliminary, you got new shed. Are we looking at wood structure or are we looking at alternative methods? Because there are what I call the cement bunker style sheds that are, more vandal proof than a wooden, depending on use. So I would hope that we would certainly be looking at various types of building materials before we go ahead and build. So I just make that comment.
All right. Is there any other questions from any other members? No, seeing none. I'll just comment to your comment, Bob. I was just thinking that while you said that, it's a really good idea, particularly with the shed, to look at other building materials. One thing though is that as the cemetery expands, the shed may move to a different spot. So that's probably what's going to happen here now is demo the current one, move it to another spot, build it. So you kind of want to consider the type of materials and how long it's actually going to be in place. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to build it all out of stone, for instance, and then it not be useful anymore.
Yeah, I think the school board used I call them the cement bunkers back in
Yes.
the day where we used them for snow blowers and gas and stuff like that. And they were ventilated and they had a wider door on them. You can get them with a garage overhead door. So there are various types of cement bunkers depending on size. Also, the nasty word sea cans, but
Oh, I know. Don't even say
they
that
are
here.
a possibility if they meet code that again, something that's movable, but yet functionable and somewhat vandal proof.
No.
Yeah. For an area where, there's not a lot of usage from that shed other than for holding supplies and stuff. So I would hope that we would certainly look at various types of materials to build up there.
All right. Well, that's good comment. And thank you for contributing there. If there's nothing further, council, this is the type of decision you make that's impactful for longer than 30 years. So here we are making a decision that's long past our term, so to speak. Council, you've got a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you. All righty. Council, we're going to move on to bylaws. Our first bylaw is 2362. It's in regards to the off-road vehicle bylaw 2071. As council and everyone knows, we've had a long discussion about this. And I want to note that there was a brief change that was put forward on the bylaw as a result of comments that were received from the Attorney General's office about the wording of Schedule D. So that's been amended. As well, any bylaw goes through the clerk's department, and if there are any spelling mistakes or omissions or whatever, the clerk through his staff and the approval of the CAO can do that, and they can report back to council if there's anything that's dramatic that needs to be done. But in the meantime, the bylaw is now prepared, and we now have it in front of us after this long debate. I'll read this, and then I'll look for a mover and seconder. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 2362, being a bylaw to amend off-road vehicle bylaw 2071, be presented or read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on the 10th day of July, 2023. Can I have a mover and seconder on this? Where are we looking here? Deneen and MacArthur. Thank you. Deneen and MacArthur. Thank you. You've heard the bylaw? I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that bylaw carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. Bylaw 2363 is the planning consultant appointment for MHBC. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 2363, being a bylaw to appoint MHBC as the township's planning consultant firm for a period of 5 years, be presented or read a first, second, and third time finally passed on the 10th day of July, 2023. Can I have that moved by Mr. Walker? Can I have that seconded by Mr. Beelan? Thank you. Any questions? Oh, you've heard the bylaw. All those in favor? That's a unanimous decision. Thank you. And 2364, this is a zoning bylaw amendment for 111 George Street, Creemore. I believe we had this on our docket some time ago, so I'm glad this is finally here as a bylaw. Be it resolved, bylaw 2364, being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and character, location, and use of building structures on lands municipally known as 111 George Street, Creemore, Clearview, and legally described as Plan 315, Part Lot 43, Lot 44, and Lot 44, Creemore, Clearview, be presented or read a first, second, and third time, finally passed on the 10th day of July, 2023. Okay, a mover and seconder on that. Deneen, seconded by Broderick. Thank you. And you've heard the bylaw. Those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you. And our bylaw here now to appoint the deputy fire chief, Mr. Kevin Spears. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 2366, being a bylaw to appoint a deputy fire chief for the township of Clearview, be presented or read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on the 10th day of July, 2023. Can I have that moved by Mr. Broderick, seconded by Ms. Deneen? Right on. Before I call that, I just want to have a quick point to the chief. Chief, I would believe that this role would also be the designated alternate for the Community Emergency Management Coordinator. I hope that's in the bylaw. I just thought of it now because I know that our Community Emergency Management Coordinator is the fire chief. And so under the act, we have to have an alternate, and I'm pretty sure it's in there. You agree?
Your worship, you're correct, but that's taken care of through different forms in legislation.
Yeah.
Through the OFEM.
Right.
Mainly.
Okay. I just want to make sure that that's clear in my mind. Members of council, you've heard the bylaw. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimously. Congratulations to Mr. Spears. All right. Council item 13 is notice of motion and new business. Is there any notice of motion for new business? No, nobody's got anything. Okay. Item 14 is our bylaw to confirm the proceedings of our council meeting. Be it resolved that bylaw 2365 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the July 10th, 2023 council meeting be presented and read a first, second, and third time finally passed on the 10th day of July, 2023. Mr. Beelan. Mr. MacArthur. Those in favor. There you go. All right. Who wants to adjourn this meeting? Let's see. What time is it, Madam Clerk? On your clock.
6:11.
6:11. Not bad. Recommendation be it resolved, the council meeting be adjourned at 6:11 PM. A mover and seconder, Deneen, Beelan, thank you. Those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's been a short meeting, but we look forward to seeing you later on in the summer. Have a good one.